just walked through the door and we are ready for a draft. All right, we are always ready. We got it on us. Let's go ahead. Let's hop in a puppy. Get a little warm up in. Then we can maybe get into $25 Best Ball Mania. I've actually feel like we've been drafting a lot better as of late, to be completely honest. I know that some of these drafts that we were in the first week, I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to describe it. Crap the bed, embarrassed myself, embarrassed everybody associated with it. Oh, it was bad. I had my parents calling me going, Mason, you've lost your touch. You have no idea what you're doing. We're going to have to pull you out of the underdog streets. We're sticking with it. We're getting a little better day by day. And it looks like this draft is now full. We are going to be picking up pick 7. So we are right smack dab in the middle. And I think off the top of my head, there's a tier of 6 players in drafts. So maybe pick number 7's not the best, but we are going to be figuring it out. Nathaniel in here with us at pick 9. Thank you, my friend. I think that we should have a ton of people from the live stream in this draft because when we joined initially, we were the first person in the lobby. We got another Mason, great name, my friend, in here at 3. Let's go ahead. We got Mike asking us to do a mock on flockfantasy.com. We don't have the 2025 draft set up on flockfantasy.com yet. We just have dynasty drafts set up. We probably won't have 2025 mock drafts on the site until like July, to be honest. Just because nobody's really doing redraft leagues right now. It's all underdog. It's all best ball. But whenever we get the redraft drafts on the site, we definitely will get a couple of those going on this live stream. But right now, we only have the dynasty mock draft rooms on flockfantasy.com. Nate in here at pick 10. Steve, longtime member of the flock, asking, is guacamole a dip or a condiment? For sure, a dip. Oscar wanting to see Kyle Pitts. John telling us Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry, pick number 7's good. Not Kyle Pitts is fire. Citywork Airlines in it for Jordan in here at 6. Ryan in here at 12. Thank you, everybody, for getting in with us. Let's freaking go. We have Jahmyr Gibbs off at pick numero 4. Ashton Ginty goes at 5. Ginty going before Bijan. Are we getting Bijan at pick 7? Let's go for it. Exciting stuff. I thought we were going to be looking at Ginty or Puka, but instead we get Bijan Robinson. I know we've had a lot of people asking us about Ginty and if you can take him in round 1. 100%. I think he deserves to be a round 1 pick, but to take him ahead of Bijan seems a little bit aggressive for me. And if you go to the site, you can actually see my Dynasty rankings if you play Dynasty. I actually do have Ashton Ginty ranked as the RB1 in Dynasty, but specifically just for 2025 drafts. Very, very aggressive. Nathaniel says, first time getting a draft with you this year. Well, happy to have you in here, my friend. Lobster says, will Saquon or Jamar suffer from the number 1 overall curse? So I know I've said this a bunch before, and I know a lot of people look at like, oh, the number 1 player in fantasy football is never picked at the number 1 pick. But for me, I think you have to just look at the math behind it. When you have the number 1 pick and you take Jamar Chase, it's not because Jamar Chase is likely to be the number 1 player at the end of the season, because Jamar is going up against like 300 guys that are also getting drafted, right? So if every player had an equal chance to be the number 1 fantasy scoring asset at the end of the year, Jamar Chase would be sitting at like a 0.3% chance. Obviously, Jamar's probability that's much higher. I would say that Jamar is maybe the most likely player to be the number 1 overall fantasy scoring asset by the end of the season. That's not a quarterback. And so that's why you take him at 1. Even if the probability that he is that number 1 overall scoring player is only 6%, is only 7%. We are going to pass on Derrick Henry here in favor of Ladd McConkey. Now, maybe this is a mistake. We definitely could have a very unique start of going Bijan and Henry, but we'll let Jordan go Lamb and Henry. We'll give him all the money. What the heck? He goes Tyreek there at 19. We got Tyreek in a draft yesterday in the 3rd round, but let's see what happens. We'll see what happens. And Derrick Henry falls past Bucky Irving as well. And of course, if y'all wanted to get in any of these drafts with us, we are drafting every single night on this live stream. These are Underdog, so they're best ball drafts, no time commitment at all during the season. That's how we draft hundreds of teams every offseason. Maybe you can hop in a draft with us and get Derrick Henry at the end of the second round. But yeah, so it's not going to replace your main fantasy football league. More so just going to be some extra fun on the side. And if you use promo code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get our 2025 rankings and draft guide cheat sheet. And Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can see the availability map here. The only state that needs to be updated here is New York, where they just had to reapply for their New York license. But everything else should be up to date. But I think we are in a good spot to have Bijan and Ladd through the first 2 rounds. Derrick Henry falls all the way to 22. Bean asking us when the next 24-hour stream is. Okay, so to my knowledge, I believe we were the first person to ever stream drafts for 24 hours straight. And since we did it that one time, I've never done it again. The reason being is if you remember that year, whenever we did stream for 24 hours straight, the issue is I am also live streaming every single day, making videos every single day. So after I streamed for 24 hours straight, I still had to go live the next day. I still had to make videos the next day and over and over and over again. And what happened was my voice got shot from the 24-hour stream, was never able to recover. And like a week later, maybe 10 days later, whenever it was, like week 2 of the NFL season, I completely lost my voice. It was horrible. I had people DMing me saying like, hey, I'm an opera singer, or hey, I'm a voice coach. Like 5 different people DMing me on like Instagram and Twitter saying, you need to stop this right now or you're going to permanently hurt your voice. So I've never done a 24-hour stream since. And I don't know if we ever plan on doing another 24-hour stream. So we'll see. Yeah, it was a brutal scene. Naeem says, put some respect on Matthew Golden. I have Golden ranked as the 108 in Dynasty Rookie Drafts. It's actually higher than where most people have him. I don't like him as a prospect whatsoever, but of course, one, I got to say, hook 'em horns. And the second thing is with Matthew Golden, I will acknowledge he has a phenomenal landing spot. Okay. And I, before this live stream, had almost a 5-hour run and biked for about an hour 30. And I haven't been able to eat since. That's why the stream was a little bit late today. That's why clearly I'm disgusting and haven't showered. So y'all are going to have to deal with me eating some ice cream bars during the stream. I apologize. But I got to eat something, and I felt like ice cream may have been the easiest thing to do during the stream. Okay. So we took Scary Terry at pick 31. So I think for that reason, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jaden Daniels here in the middle of the 4th round. If we had Xavier Worthy falling to us at 41 instead, I think that I probably could have gone Worthy 42 and then looked for Mahomes a little bit later on. But once Worthy goes, Brees is off the board, Hampton's off the board. I do think that you have a little bit of a teardrop to like DJ Moore and Travis Hunter. So I'm completely fine getting the elite level quarterback here, especially when we have the stack set up with Terry McLaurin as well. John says, what kind of ice cream? This was whatever was on sale at Costco. It was like a Yasso thing. It is delicious. Pretty damn good. Danny says, just joined Tyreek at 19. Jordan, who took Tyreek at 19, is actually in this live chat right now. If you want to get some explanation on why he decided to go Tyreek at 19. I was surprised by it myself. Yes, this is, I think it's called a Yasso bar. Schnickel says, Genty before Bijan is insane by the person at 5. I would agree with it. Again, in Dynasty, I do have Genty ranked at running back 1 overall, but for just a 2025 league, I think I have Ginty as the RB4 quite comfortably. MP says, best regards from Germany, 2 a.m. here. Been watching you now for over 4 years. Thanks for the great content. Good luck this year. Good luck, my friend. Thank you so much for hopping in this stream with us. And really do appreciate you. I will say, what are we doing? Put the phone down. Let's go to bed. Probably not the best for me to say that as a live streamer, but I promise, ladies and gentlemen, the live, unless you got to work the night shift. You got to work the night shift. Please spend the night with me. But if it's 2 a.m., you're laying in bed on the phone right now. Probably best off putting the phone to the side and hitting the hay. Steve says, I woke up at 3 a.m. and watched till the end of that 24-hour stream. That 24-hour stream was nuts. My girlfriend came on during that 24-hour stream, if y'all remember. I had to have somebody come on and carry me through. Okay, we are about to be on the clock. Since we took Jaden Daniels in round 4, Jalen Hurts, not too appealing for us here. Our general rule is we want 3 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds. Not a big DK Metcalf guy. We've talked about why multiple times. If the Pittsburgh Steelers don't bring in Rodgers, if they don't bring in a quarterback, Metcalf at 55 is a garbage pick. But frankly, what else am I supposed to do? I want 3 wide receivers for the first 5 rounds. Most wide receivers after round 7 are going to be absolutely garbage, and you're going to have to take at least 7, 8 wide receivers. It's an underdog draft. Okay. Ducks fan, welcome to being a member of the flock, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Andy says, would you say 4 wide receivers through the first 7 rounds? Most likely. We want 3 wide receivers through the first 5 rounds, 4 wide receivers through the first 7 rounds, probably ain't a bad idea. Easy says, here from South Africa, Olave or Golden. I would go Olave, at least in a redraft league, but God, I didn't know we were so international here. Turtle says 300,000 subscriber, 12-hour live stream with special guest, the Island Boys. If we actually do have a chance to hit 300,000 subs this year, I guess we'll do something special. Addison, super easy pick for me here. Like, honestly, I think I can make an argument to have Addison ranked higher than DK Metcalf. So if I'm willing to take if I'm willing to take Metcalf there at 55, reasonably, Addison's an auto pick at 66. Andres from Costa Rica. Cash Clark from Florida. I lived a year in Florida. Island Boys would make me stop watching forever. Well, if Cash Clark's from Florida, maybe he has a in with the Island Boys. I guess, yeah, only 45,000 more subs. Which, if we hit 1 million subs, I would do something nuts. I would, at the very minimum, stream for 24 hours, but we would do something insane. Garrett says, I got Hurts to fall to me late round 5 with AJ Brown as well today. Would love that pick at 9 if they didn't already have Allen. Yeah, I saw earlier the person at 9 is actually in this live stream. And let me see where their message was. They said, don't hate on them. They're trying something with the double elite quarterbacks. Again, my opinion is, I think it's very difficult to go like 2 quarterbacks inside the first 5 rounds. I think you could go with like Allen in round 3 and then maybe another quarterback in round 8 or 9 and go like bully quarterback that way. But I think 2 quarterbacks inside the first 5 rounds is really tough. And a general rule of thumb, and maybe this is something that I can learn myself for future drafts, is maybe if you get AJ Brown in round 2, you probably shouldn't be taking a quarterback in round 3 or 4 and opening the door for you to get Jalen Hurts in round 5. Giordios. So, sup, bro? Watching from Brazil. God, I did not realize we were all over the world. Hi from Sierra Leone. I know Sierra Leone from the Frank Ocean song. Bengals fan Muppet says, when are the quarterback rankings going to come out? Let me know what y'all would want next. Do y'all want quarterback or tight end rankings next? And then that'll be the next video we record. Okay. Tony Pollard goes 77. Let's move this around. Mahomes not really in play for us here at 79. We didn't take Rice. We didn't take Worthy. If we got Mahomes in round 8, we could go with them and then look at Kelsey round 9 potentially. So here's what we're going to do. Because we take Metcalf in this draft, we're already kind of banking on the idea that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, right? Like, this draft is probably a little bit dusted if Mason Rudolph truly is the starting quarterback for the Steelers this next season. So might as well take Pickens too, because if we're going to hit on the Metcalf pick, and this is like a $5 buy and $100,000 first place price, right? We need things to go right for us. And if we are going to hit on this Metcalf pick, it's probably in the scenario in which Rodgers does go to Pittsburgh. And then there, George Pickens is benefiting as well. So we'll take both Pittsburgh receivers. Do I love it? No. Can you justify it? I think so. Jake out here. Happy to see you, my guy. Evan, my guy, please. Let's keep this under wraps. Let's keep this under wraps. Okay. Questionable says updated. What happened? Does Questionable really not know what happened today? Embarrassing. Embarrassing, my friend. You don't read the news? You don't? Do you live under a rock? God. Embarrassing. KU says, can Rodgers even play at a high level anymore? Not a high level, but I think he can play better than Mason Rudolph. Jaden Reed goes, I'm not taking Luther Burden. I'm not taking Darnell Mooney. I'm not taking Igbuka. Caleb, Kyler, we have no stacks for, so we'll go ahead and we'll reach on Pacheco. We'll take Pacheco at 90. Again, Pacheco was absolute buns last year, but with that being said, if maybe we tell a story that, oh, okay, he was just injured and he never got to 100% and he's going to be 100% this next season, and then he goes back to, I believe he was a round 3 pick last offseason, no? If he goes to that type of production when the Chiefs really didn't bring in any running back of significance this offseason, I'm fine taking the shot at 90. Okay. Let's see. Ashton says, hey, Mason, I recently found out that Puka's average around 22 points per game, excluding the game he got ejected and the game he got injured. Do you think he could be underrated this season? So, yeah, I mean, we looked at this. Puka last year, I'll pull this up on the site real quick. I know we've, talked about Puka a lot because Puka was insane. And if y'all remember, I maybe in the August of 2023 regarding Puka had the worst take you could ever imagine in your entire life, where I did not think he was worth a late round flyer. And dear God, that could not have been more horrible. It was the worst take anybody's ever given ever in fantasy football. But you go and you look at Puka, and to be objective about this at this point, I mean, 4.07 yards per route run this past season, a target share of almost 30%. And this isn't like a 30% target share for the Giants with garbage quarterback play that you're getting from Malik Neighbors. It's from Stafford. Obviously, you bring in Adams, but Puka set up to absolutely crush. Keon Coleman goes 102. I think Pittman's the last wide receiver that's going to score points. So we'll take Pittman, wide receiver 6. And I'm not going to lie to y'all. We crushed this draft. We're getting into a best ball mania after this. We're heating up. Maybe we need to be eating ice cream in every stream. That's maybe what it is. Running back, we have Bijan, Pacheco. Bijan obviously doing a lot of the heavy lifting. We'll target a bunch of late round running backs here. Wide receiver, we have Ladd, Terry, Metcalf, Addison, Pickens, Pittman. We have the elite quarterback with Daniel stacked up with Terry McLaurin. Love it. We've talked about Chipotle before, but Chipotle is not bad. I prefer Kava, but Chipotle is good. It's not as good as it used to be. KEW says, just found us today. Well, I'm happy to have you here, my friend. Welcome to being a member of the flock. Is there anybody that is in this stream that wasn't here with us last year? Like, is there anybody here that found us over the past week or two? Would be really interesting to know. Lobster disc is new. Welcome, my friend. Ross Cred, I know you've been here forever. Rental Turtle's been here forever. Sammy Bullock, brand new name. Never seen this one before. Okay. Let's move this over. Shaheed goes. I'm assuming. Actually, no. We're going to take Najee over Charbonnet. Because if we're looking at... Oh, I got ice cream everywhere. If we are looking at Najee and Charbonnet, they're both just premium handcuff backs, right? Like, we're not super excited about getting usable weeks from Najee Harris when Hampton's healthy. We're not super excited about getting usable weeks from Charbonnet when Kenneth Walker's healthy. But given the fact that Hampton is a rookie, maybe week 1, week 2, Najee has a little bit of a better role. So, I don't know. I think you can make a very strong argument that the pick should have been Charbonnet. I think no matter what, we are looking at running back there, right? For Goff, we don't have Laporta, we don't have Jameson, we don't have St. Brown, we don't have Gibbs. So not looking to take Goff in this range. Same thing with Jordan Love. We don't really have any Packers. And we already have Daniel, so it's not like we're stressing about quarterback at this point. Okay. Diego, I'm happy to have you, my friend. Yeah, Nathan. Nathan's had that same profile pic since 2019, too. Lobster Disc as why is Jordan Love's value fallen so far? We can go ahead and we can look at the passing volume that you had with Jordan Love from 2 years ago to this past season. The issue with Love is the Packers just simply didn't throw the ball this past year. The efficiency actually went up, where if you look, you had 7.7 adjusted yards per pass attempt versus 7.1 the year prior. It's just the overall passing volume went down dramatically. And crap, we are on the clock. I don't want Christian Kirk. I'd rather have Herbert. We're going to take Herbert as our second quarterback to stack with Ladd McConkey, and then we're going to call it a day at QB. Yeah, I like Stroud, but for whatever reason, no part of me ever wants to take Christian Kirk. I don't think we've taken him a single time this year. Danny asking how we are selecting the Flock League draft order this year. I have an idea that will be awesome. It requires Underdog hooking us up and helping us out. We'll see if they do it. But it's not confirmed yet. And honestly, even if it was confirmed, I don't think I'd tell it y'all because I probably want it to be a surprise. But much better than last year. Hollywood goes 132. Let's move this down. We don't have a tight end yet, do we? So tight end's definitely in play for us on the way back around at 138. Quarterback, probably not taking Stroud, probably not taking McCarthy. We don't have any Texans. We don't have any Vikings. And we already have Daniels and Herbert, right? So we're kind of chilling there. So I think we are really just running back, wide receiver, tight end at this point. Let's see what this team does before us. They go Rashad White. I think we may grab our first tight end with Tucker Kraft here. Just trying to think. Yeah, we're going to go Kraft. I wouldn't fault anybody if they wanted to take Christian Kirk at this point, though. I think in my mind, this is a much more reasonable place to take Kirk. Sadie Walk asking what the Flock League is. The Flock League is... I don't even know how to describe it. It's a fantasy football league with a bunch of fantasy football content creators. And if you look up the Flock League on YouTube, and it has its own channel. It's like kind of a reality show format. My favorite thing that I'm doing on YouTube. Obviously, we're not going to be doing it again until August, but ton of fun. J Money asking if we think Montgomery loses usage this year. Yep. If you look at Montgomery versus Gibbs, keep in mind Gibbs going to year 3. Montgomery was drafted in 2019. And if you look at the numbers for Gibbs from last year, what's actually interesting is the receiving involvement did dip down a bit, where he fell from a 14% target share down to a 12% target share. But his carry rate went higher from 43% up to 48%. I'm going to assume that the guy that's going into year 3 that was drafted in round 1 is going to continue to take more work away from the older player drafted in 2019. But you look at Montgomery over the past 4 years, he's fallen from 82% to 62%, down to 52%, down to 42% with his carry rate. So I think okay, we're going to take Christian Kirk at this point. I'm sorry. Again, I said I thought he was a fine pick in round 12. But here, 151, I think Christian Kirk is much, much better when he's in the range of these other guys like Jalen Noel. I'd rather have Christian Kirk than Jalen Noel. And I think once we take the 7th wide receiver there, we're probably done at wide receiver. Because right now we're sitting with Ladd, Terry, Metcalf, Addison, Pickens, Pittman, Christian Kirk. Going over to running back, we have Bijan, Pacheco, Najee. Quarterback, we have Daniel stacked with Terry. We have Herbert stacked with Ladd. We know we're going to need to take 3 tight ends. So I guess we can, if we take 2 more tight ends, we can maybe get away with 6 RBs on this team. Yeah, we're of course going to be doing a couple more drafts after this one. I think the next draft, maybe I'm feeling myself. All right. I think the next draft we can hop in a BBM. I think we killed this one. Again, I don't think we're looking at quarterback or receiver, at least not for the next few rounds. Quarterback we're done with, period. Wide receiver, if like round 18 we find someone we really like, maybe go in that direction, but We're going to take Algier. I'm not going out of my way to handcuff Bijan. Typically, if you are handcuffing, what it's going to do is it's going to raise your floor but lower your ceiling. Now, I have talked about this for the past few years. I mean, really, I've talked about this every year when it comes to these tournaments. Well, yes, it raises your floor and lowers your ceiling, which is typically not what we're wanting to do in fantasy. If you do think of the game theory and trying to have unique players and unique combos when it comes to the fantasy playoff stretch, there is a world in which Bijan Robinson gets injured, high ankle sprain in week 2. Bijan is out for 6 weeks, ineffective for 8 weeks, and Bijan has an extremely low advance rate, where no Bijan teams really are able to go through and actually make the fantasy football playoff tournament. And if you have Algier, you actually stay afloat and you advance a Bijan team through, and then in weeks 15, 16, 17, Bijan's the number 1 overall player in fantasy, and he's low owned in the tournament. So I think that while, yeah, there are reasons to not handcuff in these tournaments, you can almost so you can do mental gymnastics and say, oh, it may be helpful for this. It may hurt for this. In reality, my stance on it is I'm not going out of my way to handcuff my players in these tournaments. But if I think Algier is the best player on the board, which I personally think he is the best player on the board, I'm not going to avoid him just because we took Bijan Robinson. Okay. Hunter Henry goes. Let's move this over. Again, we are not taking Stafford. Just in case you didn't see, the big news. Finalizes the 2-year deal with the Rams. And his punishment for that is he's going to be falling in this puppy draft. Why? Actually, we are running back and tight end, right? So we're going to take Frymuth. So this team is very, very, very much banking on the Steelers going and getting a quarterback. This team is an absolute dumpster. It's garbage. It's nothing if Mason Rudolph's the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. Because this team at this point is rolling with Metcalf, Pickens, as well as Pat Frymuth. So what we're saying with this build is Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh. The Steelers are an above average passing offense. I don't think anybody's going to be able to sit here and convince themselves that Rodgers would make the Steelers an elite passing offense by any stretch of the imagination. But maybe we can convince ourselves that they'd be above average, and at the very minimum, maybe better than where these guys are getting drafted at the moment, and you can justify that price. And I'm not taking Will Howard. I'm sorry. There's no way. Okay. Frank says Steelers tank season incoming. Maybe. My thing is, if the Steelers are tanking, why did they just trade a pick for Metcalf and then give Metcalf all the money? In my mind, that doesn't scream, hey, we're tanking over here. Cash Clark asking if we're supporting any NFL teams. So I grew up around San Antonio, and I've told this story a bunch, but I actually started playing fantasy football as a kid before I ever watched the NFL. So 1, I didn't have an NFL team where I was from. And 2, since I started playing fantasy football before I ever watched, I got into watching NFL games because I started playing fantasy football when I was a kid, which I feel like it's kind of the opposite for most people. We're going to take Dalton Schultz and hope that he can just contribute enough points to our tight end room. I know that we also have Kirk, so maybe we're saying that Stroud is a higher volume passer than most people are expecting. But anyway, I know I've told this story a bunch, but since fantasy football was the way that I got in, and Cheeky Hobson doxing us out here. But since fantasy football is the way that I got into the NFL, I never had an NFL team to root for. Same thing, baseball. San Antonio didn't have a baseball team. We had a minor league team. We'd go to missions games all the time growing up. So I've never rooted for an NFL team. The only team I ever grew up rooting for was like the Spurs. But since we've been in LA for a bit, since my girlfriend's working on the movie, we are going to go back to Texas very soon. I think I only have like 3 weeks left in this Airbnb. I have been toying with the idea, and y'all are going to hate this. Y'all are going to absolutely hate this, and I know it. I've been toying with the idea, especially if we're here more often, if she works on more movies, to adopt the LA teams. Since where I've lived, San Antonio and Austin, like Austin has no NFL team, no MLB team, no NBA team. San Antonio, we have an NBA team, but nothing else. Toying with the idea of adopting the LA teams and becoming a Rams fan. So maybe we will do Rams, Dodgers, and Spurs and stick with the Spurs fandom. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear. All right. Running back. Do we go Jarquez Hunter? Are we just taking an RB and saying, oh, what if he's... The issue is with like taking a running back like this. It's a 3-man backfield where we don't exactly know the split. We're taking him as our RB5 here, and we are going to be also... We're going to take another running back because this running back room I don't feel great about. Obviously, we were asking the Atlanta guys to do a lot of heavy lifting here, but this is the team at 7. All in all, I really like the team. I would have really liked to have Marshawn Lloyd make it to us in round 17. I don't know who stole him from us. Is it Kadarius Toney that's over there in that 2 pick? Yes. Freaking Kadarius Toney at pick 2 stole Marshawn Lloyd from us. But tight end, we're rolling with Kraft, Frymuth, Schultz. Quarterback, we have Herbert Daniels. Wide receiver, we have Christian Kirk, Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Jordan Addison, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Ladd McConkey. And running back, we have Bijan, Pacheco, Najee, Algier, Jarquez Hunter. And then we will take another stab at a running back that may not even make the team. Maybe the running back 3 in his offense. We just have no idea. Maybe we want to go with another rookie. Let's see. Is there anybody down here that's interesting? Not particularly. I see the name Jonathan Brooks and I go, ooh, I like Jonathan Brooks. But he's not going to play football, so it frankly doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and let's hop into the draft. We already queued up our running backs there. Let's get into a BBM. So this is, where's Best Ball Mania? Oh, there it is. This is the largest tournament on Underdog, of course. We're going to get in a 20-second timer, but just in case you haven't seen it, $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $2 million for first, bunch of prizes. We got 16th place in this a couple years back for $10,000. We won that year in Best Ball with that Best Ball Mania entry. Last year, we got to the finals in BBM, had a shot at millions up top, and sadly, nothing came from it. But we'll see if we can get another team to the finals. All you can really ask is get a team to the finals. Hope you get lucky in week 17, to be honest. Maybe we'll do a big dog at one point. But we got Bean in here at 5. Adam asking for a $5, please. Maybe we can go ahead and we can do a $5 one after. We got Alex saying Rams question mark, be a Chargers fan. So this was my first time ever in California. We've been staying here for a couple months. And couple interesting notes for LA sports that I had no idea. One, I have been here for a couple months and I don't think I've ever seen anybody wearing anything Chargers related. Like, it's like the Chargers aren't even here. I definitely see Rams stuff everywhere. Like, it seems like in LA, what people root for, they root for the Rams. The Chargers are non-existent. It's the same thing, Lakers, Clippers. I don't think I've ever seen anybody wearing a Clippers thing outside of when we went to a Lakers, Clippers game. It's Lakers stuff absolutely everywhere. Another crazy thing about the Lakers in terms of what people are repping is we went to a Lakers game that LeBron was supposed to score his 50,000th career point. Like he had to score 18 points and he would have scored 50,000th career point. Tickets were actually pretty damn cheap too. Like, surprisingly. I thought Lakers tickets would be obnoxious, but they're like cheaper than Texas Longhorn tickets. And of course everybody's wearing all Lakers stuff, but I'm expecting to see Luka. I'm expecting to see LeBron jerseys. Everybody just wears Kobe. It's just every single person's repping Kobe, which I didn't expect. And then everybody wears Dodgers stuff. I've never seen anybody wear Angels things. So it seems like the LA sports teams, from my perspective, I've only been here for a couple months. I'm leaving in a couple weeks. Are the Dodgers, we'll go Nico Collins, but are the Dodgers, Rams, Lakers, Angels, Clippers, and oh, hell yes, we get McCaffrey. Y'all know I'm not really taking Derrick Henry here in round 2, so to get McCaffrey there, I will be very happy about. We're going to go Nico and McCaffrey. Again, with McCaffrey, super low floor, but we've seen every year since 2018, if he's healthy, he's either the running back 1 or running back 2 in fantasy points. And this is a $25 buy-in, $2 million for first place. I'm fine taking the risk and seeing if he is able to hit that ceiling again. But, ooh, I got some good celebrity sightings over in Cali. Last night we were at dinner. We saw, I don't know who this guy is. My girlfriend said he was from Ghostbusters. I'm horrible with actors. The only way that I know that we spot somebody is my girlfriend spots them and tells me like, oh, that's who this is. So last night at dinner, we saw Dan Aykroyd. We've been exploring the area and just seeing what's what. We went to Malibu and went to dinner. We saw, his name is Elliot something. He's in A Star Is Born. He's like the cowboy voice, big mustache. What's the Elliot something? We saw him one day at brunch a couple weeks ago inside the same brunch place. We took the dog. We saw The Deep from The Boys, and we saw Sam Elliott. Yeah, we saw Sam Elliott. That's who it was. We saw The Deep from The Boys, and then like we were kind of sharing this little table with another couple that I didn't recognize. Like, of course, I have no idea who these people are. And I'm like sitting there. My girlfriend and I are watching The Boys at the time, so it's like a big deal. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that is really him, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, keep on talking. And my girlfriend's like really shy and won't is keeping her voice down. And then the couple gets up from like the table that we're at and leaves. And she was like, oh my God, you know who that was? So I was like, no. She was like, it's blah, blah, blah. And it was the girl who dated Aaron Rodgers. And she was in it's not the Hunger Games, but it was the other one that was kind of like the Hunger Games. Let me pull this up. Divergent. It was the girl from Divergent. I was running in the trails last week, and I was running on so we're staying kind of the base of the Hollywood Hills, just because the girlfriend's working in like downtown Hollywood. Like literally, you look at the map where it says Hollywood, that's where her office is. And so I run up, essentially my run, like what I just did right before this live stream, is I run up where the Hollywood sign is. That's just where I'm running all day. And I was off one of these, like maybe it was a week ago, maybe it was a little bit longer, 10 days or so. I was like on like a very empty trail track. Like there's nobody over there, by the way, like up in that area, which is weird to me. I would expect a bunch of people over there. And I saw some people that I was running by, and then I saw like it was one guy coming this way and then a couple going this way. A guy coming this way stopped the couple and asked to it was like taking a picture with the guy that was walking with the girl. And so I was like, oh, okay, this has to be somebody's significance. So I run, like they have to move off the trail so I can run by. And I look, and it was Steve-O from Jackass, which is pretty funny. Who else have we seen? Walking the dog. My girlfriend saw the first day that we were here, the girl from Twilight, like the main girl from Twilight. I think that may be it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Sadly, I've not seen Kate Upton. Sadly, I have not. But let's move this over. Marvin Harrison goes 33. We start CMC Nico. Again, I want 3 wide receivers to the first 5 rounds. So I feel like we need to take a receiver here, whether that's at pick 35 or pick 38. Breece Hall goes. So we are going to take Mike Evans. Main reason being is we can go Mike Evans here at 35, and then we can get Allen or Lamar guaranteed to us at 38. DJ Moore goes 36. Let's see what this team does. They go Lamar, so we will take Josh Allen. Like I said, wanted to get an elite quarterback. I didn't really care too much who it was going to be between Lamar and Allen. So it felt like let the team at 12 pick which guy they want, and we'll just get whoever's left over. I'd probably prefer Allen, especially if you're looking at the way the ADP lines up. I think getting Allen and Evans is probably a little bit more unique than Evans and Lamar. So it feels good. I'm trying to think if we've seen anybody else. What was funny is the first day that we were here, we drove all the way from Texas with all our stuff. And we're about to have to do that drive again in a couple weeks, which I'm not looking forward to. First day that we were here, like we stopped to get brunch, and our waiter recognizes me and's like, we take pictures, blah, blah, blah. Like he watched the Flock League, which is awesome. And then nobody's recognized me since, which I was like, we got here. I was like, oh my gosh. I guess maybe I was like, maybe a bunch of people in California know me because I stream so late. I was like, my YouTube does say most people are from California. And then nobody's recognized me since. But it was funny, like the first restaurant since. Okay. Dan says, have you got a preference this year with the team breakdown? Is it a 2-5-9-2 or something else? I very rarely find myself taking 9 receivers. A lot of reason. I prefer getting, like I said, 3 wide receivers to the first 5 rounds, 4 wide receivers to the first 7 rounds, because a lot of those later round wide receivers, I just have no feel with, and I just think that they're so gross that I don't want to end up having to take 9 guys. So, yeah, 2-5-9-2, I don't think we've built around a ton. I think we've probably had a lot of 6 running back builds, to be honest. We've done that a decent bit anyway. Okay. Rivers says, before it gets too hot, go hike. Vasquez rocks. Tons of movies, TV, music videos, and commercial shot up there. Where I run up in the hills, I'm going to look up what you just said real quick. But what I've seen shot a bunch is, I see car commercials shot all the time up there. Like, you know, if you see like a car, like kind of going down a mountain, I've seen them shooting those. And not going to lie, there was a Lexus. Okay, this is pretty far from where we're at. Yeah, this is an hour. But yeah, we'll try to go there. But I saw a Lexus car commercial getting shot like 2 weeks ago, and it made me want to get that Lexus. It was like a what's the Toyota like 4Runner? It was like that, but a Lexus version, and it just looks so clean. But I drive the same car I've had since I was 16. So I've never gotten a new car in a feel like I'm sentimental about a like very few amount of things. Like, it was very hard for me to get rid of my high school backpack, which I had to I ran out of space and we had to leave it when we did the trip last June. And it was very hard to get rid of that high school and college backpack. I was like sentimental about that, but also my car. I feel like it's going to be hard to get rid of the car. So we've had it for about 10 years now. Yeah, we've had it for 10 years. And it's from 2013. So it's like a 14-year-old car. And let's see. Let's move this over. Jalen Waddle goes 54. Addison off the board at 55. Interesting setup. You're younger than me, bro. God dang, you're young, Cash. Don't get rid of the old car. Yeah, I don't want to. It's what's funny is it's a Jeep. It's like a 15-year-old Jeep now at this point. It was like 3 years old when I got it. 4 years old when I got it. And what's crazy is like I've heard everybody say like how Jeeps have horrible problems and blah 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 blah. I'm fine getting Kenneth Walker or Chuba Hubbard. I don't want to take Rome Odunze, so I'm going to get Chris Olave because I feel like I need a wide receiver here. And we'll let Dizzle choose who they want between Chuba and Walker, and we'll get the other guy. But I'd be surprised if they were going to take both running backs. So they go Chuba, and we will take Kenneth Walker here at 62. But yeah, I would have taken Kittle if Kittle would have fallen, for sure. But Kittle doesn't fall. I like the dog pick. You can let's see if we can get the dog here. Y'all can see the dog real quick. Maybe you can. There's no way y'all can hear her snoring, but she's over here. Again, sorry, we're in a tiny little Airbnb, so it's a little messy. Get a little peek of the dog. But anyway, so I know like a lot of people say how horrible Jeeps are and how they have all these problems and blah blah blah. I've had mine since like 2014, something around then. I don't know. It's 2013. And it's never had a problem. Ever. I had to take it to get, like one time it had like a little recall like 10 years ago that we had to go drop it off for a day for them to do something. What else has happened? The heat and AC doesn't exactly work anymore, but again, it's 15 years old. I probably should go get that fixed at some point. Especially when we're going to go back to Texas. It's going to be so hot in the summer. But, yeah, we've never had any problems with it. So Malik says, once you get the pesky P0300 code on the Jeep, it's a pain in the ass. I am horrible when it comes to knowing car stuff. I know nothing. Carl says you could probably afford taking the new car depreciation hit, but if you math it, it's still gross. Yeah, that's gibberish to me, my friend. To be honest, I have no idea what you're talking about. Brandon asking if we like Judkins or Henderson. I like Henderson a lot more than Judkins, specifically given the receiving role and the offense he's playing in. I think Henderson has a better receiving skill set. I think Henderson's going to see a lot more targets, and I think we should have more red zone opportunities for the New England backfield in comparison to the Cleveland backfield. So for me, I definitely prefer Henderson over Judkins. I think both are great players. It's a real Jeep. Andrew asking how the draft order's getting determined in the Flock League this year. I was just saying this earlier in the live stream. I have something fun getting cooked up. We're going to need some help from Underdog to pull it off, which they said they will. I haven't heard anything in like a month. We'll see. But it will be very, very cool if it can get done, which we'll see. We'll see. Kevin, I went to UT 2017 through 2021. Brandon, no, I cannot, my friend. I'm sorry. So Brandon Ayuk goes 77. It does seem like Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk have been flipping, which I personally agree with. I know we talked about that when drafts opened up last week, that I'd much prefer Ayuk over Pearsall. DeAndre Swift goes 80. Pearsall goes 81. Okay, I don't want to say too much until we're actually on the clock. And even at that point, I don't want to say too much because the team after us has 2 picks. Aaron Jones goes. So we're going to take Caleb Johnson. 8 picks past ADP. I don't want to sit here and act like this is the best pick in the world. Is there any world in which we... We're going to try it. We're going to go Tony Pollard. We may only take 4 running backs with this team and then spam wide receivers. Very bad to have your 4th running back before your 4th wide receiver. Let's all be on the same page here. Very, very bad for us to do that. But for me, I'm going to have a difficult time taking Luther Burden or Darnell Mooney over a starting running back. So I don't think like taking Caleb Johnson and Tony Pollard over these guys like Luther Burden and Darnell Mooney are bad decisions, but it may mean that Mason, you got to suck it up and you got to take Jerry Jeudy instead of Kenneth Walker. You got to take A.J. Brown instead of McCaffrey. You got to put yourself in a position where you don't need to feel bad about taking Caleb Johnson and Tony Pollard at 83 and 86. But this may be a build in which we're only taking 4 RBs. We'll see. Okay. Alex says, have you enjoyed your time out here in Cali, though? So here's my opinion about California versus Texas. And probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but I'd like to know your opinion. So I've lived in Texas my entire life, outside of 1 year where I lived in Florida. Love Texas. Objectively speaking, though, I think, let me walk this back a bit. I think Texas has slightly better food than California. At least Austin. I think Austin's food is slightly better than LA's food. I'm sure a lot of people that know the best LA spots and blah, blah, blah would maybe argue with me on that one. But I've lived in Austin forever. I went to college there, right? So I know all the good spots. So I like the food there more than I like the food here. I've only been here for a couple months. Maybe if I was here for as long, I could find the good food spots and yada, yada, yada. It's easier to get around in Texas. However, what is so nice about California, and why I think if it was the same, it cost the same amount to live here than it did to live in Texas, I would prefer to live here. The issue is it just costs so much more, right? So even if I would say like, oh, this is better than Texas, it frankly just doesn't matter because how much it costs, right? What makes it better here is, one, obviously the weather, and that's the main thing. But 2, when you're in Texas, like when you're in Austin, nature-wise, you can't really go to too many different areas. You can't go to the ocean. Outside of, yes, you can go to Corpus, which I went to Corpus growing up. But if we're going to be real with each other, it's a crappy beach. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's not a Florida beach. It's not a California beach. You can't go to any mountains. You can't go ski. You can't go hike. If you want to go anywhere in Texas, like if you want to go somewhere to ski or anything, you kind of have to fly. Like if you look at a map where all the national parks are, there are no national parks in Texas outside of like, if you drive all the way West Texas, you can drive 8 hours. Like the closest national park in Texas is 8 hours away, at least where I live. Where I'm staying in LA right now, The closest there are within an 8-hour drive, there are 30 national parks. You know, so there's just so much nature stuff you can drive to, and the weather's a lot better, and the food's only slightly worse in my opinion. So really enjoy the time here. I think it's great. I think it may not matter that much how much I like it or dislike it and blah, 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 because it's so much more expensive that frankly, it doesn't really, like I said, it doesn't really matter. It absolutely sucks, but I feel like we have to double tap wide receiver here, so we're going to go Shaheed. Mark Andrews goes 108. Mark Andrews was the other guy I was considering. Another team after us had Lamar. So obviously they were primarily wanting that stack. We're wanting Keon Coleman to pair up with Josh Allen. And again, I don't like the wide receivers in this range in comparison to like the tight ends, but we get stuck in a spot in which we're stuck taking these receivers. We have no other option. The reason I chose Shaheed is we also have Olave on this team. So we can tell a story of, oh, what if the Saints passing offense is better than people expect? What if somehow, some way the Saints are able to pull a rabbit out of a hat and be an average team when it comes to total passing yards and total passing touchdowns, which is probably unlikely, but maybe it's maybe it can happen. And then with Keon Coleman, should run a ton of routes, play a ton of snaps. A lot of people said the reason that you didn't want to take him last year is he was a raw rookie. It was going to take him a little bit of time, blah, 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 blah. Maybe he's better in year 2. So we'll take Keon. 110, had decent NFL draft capital. Not a lot of competition in Buffalo. It's not like Shakir's anything super special. So we'll go. Noah, I wish I could, my friend. Bean asking if we watch Kill Tony. So, and that's, okay, there's obviously a lot of entertainment in LA, but I am a massive, massive stand-up comedy fan. So in Austin, we go to the Mothership a bunch. And of course, so I don't watch Kill Tony much anymore just because I don't watch comedy podcasts much anymore, at least to the extent that I used to. Like I used to edit all my own videos. So like as I would sit on my computer and edit all day, like one of the monitors had a comedy podcast rolling 24/7. I kind of burnt myself out of them though. But we go and see stand-up comedy all the time. So I've seen Tony Hinchcliffe in person multiple times, which is ton of fun. But I've never been able to get tickets to Kill Tony because they'll drop like a batch of like 3 months of them, and then they all sell out within 10 minutes. It's like it's impossible to get a ticket to Kill Tony. I know Sal's been able to get a ticket before, but I've never been able to. I would love to get one though. Cash Clark asking favorite comedian. Mine's got to be Kevin Nealon. So we've gone to if you would ask, it's such a boring answer. If you would have asked me my favorite comedian like a couple years back, like in 2020, I could have hit you with like, oh, this guy Shane Gillis, but now he's the most popular comedian in the world. So I'm trying to give you a different name. What's really cool is Bobby Lee's producer of Tiger Belly watches the live stream, or at least he did a couple years back. And he got us tickets to when like Bobby Lee had some like live podcast event in Austin. And we went to that, and that was really cool. And we got to hang out with Bobby Lee and them afterwards. And we've gone to the Comedy Store here a couple times. And we got to see Bobby Lee here, and it was he was incredible. Like, I don't know if I've told you all this before, but in my opinion, especially since I don't drink, I'm sure like maybe your perfect night would be different if you drink, but maybe, hell, even if you drink, maybe the night's even better. Thank God we took the 2 wide receivers in the last round. last 2 rounds. If we didn't take the 2 wide receivers, we would have been cooked. It would have been disgusting. We're going to take Tucker Kraft here at 130. Reason, actually, I guess we could go Stroud. Okay. I don't know the correct answer of this. So my thought process was team after has Lamar Baker. They're not taking another quarterback. I was going like, oh, we can take Tucker Kraft, guarantee that we get Love on the way back around and get that stack. But we also have Stroud, so we could take Stroud for Nico Collins. Based off the receivers that may be available to us later, I think we may end up seeing some Packers wide receivers. So let's go Love, and we'll get the stack with Kraft, and then maybe a Packers receiver later as well. And yeah, we could have gone Kincaid with Allen. I think we could have done a bunch with that turn. Maybe, you know what? The correct decision, I think now that we're really sitting here and thinking about it, should have been Stroud to pair up with Nico and then Kincaid to get the Allen double stack, rather than just all of a sudden having to randomly force a Packer stack out of nowhere. Like our Texans and Bills stacks were already set up. We should have just continued down that path instead of, for whatever reason, setting up a random stack. But anyway, my going back to it, my perfect night is girlfriend and I go to a nice dinner and then a comedy show after. I don't think there's a better night like you could possibly have, especially because you go to a nice dinner, even if it's an early one, you go at 6, comedy shows at 8, you get home by 11, you're in bed by a reasonable time, you had a great dinner, great entertainment, not super expensive, the absolute best. Let's see, we're going back to Texas. I leave LA to go to Julian, which is like a town outside of San Diego, to prep for the 100-mile race, probably like May 30th. The race is on the 6th, June 6th. And then we will be probably recovering for the next few days. And then whenever I'm recovered, we'll drive back to Texas. But yeah, this is another reason why I think Austin's, I prefer. Again, let me circle back to that. If LA and Austin were the same, everything costs the same. Taxes, house, entertainment, dinner, blah, blah, blah. I think you could make a strong argument that it would be better to be in Southern California because you're so close to so many national parks and so many cool things that like it's all driving distance, where Texas, you kind of have to fly if you want to go anywhere. However, because of how expensive it is here, I'm a Texas guy. But let's see. Derek says, should pass through Arizona on the way home to Texas if you've never been. So the girlfriend's family is in El Paso. So just for that reason, we have to take the El Paso route instead of the Arizona route. I've been to is the Grand Canyon in Arizona? I've been to the Grand Canyon before. Okay, we are done with quarterback, right? So we are just wide receiver, tight end, running back. I think we are going to take Kyle Pitts here at 155. Again, am I the biggest fan of Kyle Pitts in the world? No, but if I'm getting him after Keenan Allen and Xavier Legette, I think it's a completely fine pick. And then I think Romeo Doubs is, frankly, actually, do we take Garindo? We can go Garindo as our 5th running back, call it a day at RB. I have no idea what we want to do here. We're going to go Garindo. Again, I'm not particularly targeting our own handcuffs as I discussed in the draft previous to this one. But at the same time, I do think that it can lead to some unique outcomes, particularly in a fantasy football playoff tournament setting. So we'll take Garindo. This definitely puts us in a spot where we cannot take another running back. We're not taking another quarterback, of course. We are just supposed to be slamming wide receivers. Maybe Romeo Doubs was the pick instead, but for me, I just think that Romeo Doubs is not exciting whatsoever with the wide receivers that they added into Green Bay. Really, the only reason I'd consider reaching on him there is because we have Love. We already have the Tucker Kraft stack, so it's not like we absolutely need Doubs there. And we can get Wicks later on if need be. But let's move this over. Perla says, did I mess up one of my drafts by only taking one tight end? If you did an underdog draft and you only took one tight end, even if that tight end, one, let me say, the only way that you could even try to justify it is if that tight end was Bowers. Like if you took one tight end and that tight end was Mark Andrews, yeah, you're screwed. I'm sorry. But even if that tight end is Bowers, just the opportunity cost of taking a second tight end around 17, round 18, it's not like the wide receivers, running backs that you're taking are so exciting when you get to round 18 that you just can't pass up on the idea of grabbing another tight end. So yeah, in my opinion, I think you messed up by only taking one tight end. I know a couple of years back, people were trying to make an argument that this is when Kelsey was going at like pick 3 or 4, that you take Kelsey and you don't draft another tight end. But I always just go back to that 9th wide receiver that you would draft, that 6th running back that you would draft. Those players are so uninspiring that it can't hurt to just take a second tight end. Ben says, honestly, I'd rather have Savion Williams in the 18th than Romeo Doubs in the 14th. Well, thank you for justifying it, my friend. Thank you. Philip, appreciate you, my friend. Fantasy Destined asking if we're joining another lobby. Yeah, I think we're going to get in another draft after this one. We can do a $5, $3, $25 draft, whatever y'all wanting. Just let me know. Not a $500 one, but anything else we're good for. And God, I feel just so disgusting sitting in my own filth right now. Penix goes 172. Great value on Michael Penix. Cedric Tillman fallen. Tillman ADP 158. And we are at pick 174. We are just wide receiver and tight end through the rest of this. Tillman finally off the board. I'd have been very excited to get Tillman there. Eckler goes 176. I'm probably going to be reaching on somebody, but it will be okay. DeAndre Hopkins goes 177. Anthony Richardson goes, we'll take Michael Wilson. I don't think Michael Wilson's any good. We've already looked at his statistics from last year. You looked at his yards per route run. It's like 1.1. It's garbage. But I was actually going to reach on Demario Douglas too. I like the Douglas pick. But we know Michael Wilson's going to be out there running routes, getting a decent amount of snaps. Do we just take Mason Taylor? And then take 2 receivers in the last 2 rounds. We'll go Mason Taylor 182. Don't feel great about it. But not a lot of target competition in New York outside of just one player with Garrett Wilson. Overall, I'm okay with the draft. I definitely don't like it as much as the first one that we did. Wide receiver, we were sitting with Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Shaheed, Keon Coleman, Michael Wilson, and then 2 bums at the very end. The downfall of this team is going to be we don't have enough points at wide receiver. That's why this team's not winning. Because running back, we're great. We have CMC, Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Tony Pollard, and Isaac Garindo. Tight end, I think we're solid. We have Kraft, Pitts, and Mason Taylor. Quarterback, I think we're solid. We have Josh Allen, Jordan Love. Quarterback stacks, we have Josh Allen with Keon Coleman. We have Jordan Love with Tucker Kraft. And we are also going to be taking 2 wide receivers late down here. Maybe we can look at grabbing another guy like Dontavian Wicks. But let me queue up some wide receivers and then we'll bounce and go to the next draft. But please let me know in the chat, are you wanting a $5 draft, $3 draft, $25 draft? What are y'all wanting to get into? And then we'll just do whatever you want. Yeah, we will take Manor, Coker, if either one fall. Then after that, Dontavian Wicks off the board, it looks like. We'll throw Savion Williams in here just to get the setup with. What's the blurb on Tank Dell? Progressing, but timeline to be determined. Texans coach DeMeco Ryans reiterated Monday that Dell remains without a timetable for return. Wilson reports that Dell is making steady and impressive progress with major steps taken following a pair of surgeries to repair the MCL, LCL, and ACL in his left knee after he was injured in the Texans' Week 16 loss to the Chiefs. There have been rumblings that Dell could miss most, if not all, of the 2025 season in an effort to stabilize the wide receiver position following Dell's serious injury and the departure of Stephon Diggs in free agency. The Texans acquired Christian Kirk and then used second and third round picks on Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Okay, Brandon Cooks is back with the Saints? Oh, that's awesome. Back in the day when I first started playing Dynasty, I started playing Dynasty in 2014, and that was the Brandon Cooks draft class. And I loved Brandon Cooks with the Saints. I'm not taking Brandon Cooks here. Don't get me wrong. But I like seeing that little blurb. Makes me feel good. Ends there. I'm not taking MVS. I'm sorry. I guess. Actually, we have enough wide receivers queued up, right? Jalen Coker, Savion Williams, Jordan Winton, Adonai Mitchell. We're going to get 2 of these 4 guys. Let's go ahead. It looks like most people in the chat are asking for a $3 draft. So let's hop into $3. This is going to be the Schnauzer. It's a 20-second timer. And we are in, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted to get in with us. Okay. Nathaniel says the stream's been lagging a bit. Okay, I'm going to start turning my phone Wi-Fi off when we go live. Yeah, sorry. Let me know how many of y'all have been dealing with stream issues. Like I said, am in an Airbnb, and hopefully the Airbnb that we go to in San Diego in a couple weeks will be better. Okay, let's move this. We're going to be in here at pick 2. I'm probably going to go wide receiver to start this off with either Chase or Lamb. Yeah, for sure the Wi-Fi here is not as good as our Wi-Fi at the house. Nick in here with us at pick 9. Philip got in a different draft than at 1. We're going to take CeeDee Lamb at pick 2. And your regular fantasy football draft, I'm definitely taking Barkley, of course, but these underdog drafts are a little bit different. We got Sebastian in here with us at pick 7. Brendan says, bro, I ended up waiting for 12-man drafts to fill an underdog so long. What tournament were you in? Whenever I get in, it's super, super quick. Dark says, it's only your camera that lags a bit every 5 to 10 minutes. Other than that, the stream's fine. If it's only my camera that lags, that's not bad at all. But Murray says, how come you took Lamb over Jefferson? I think Lamb has more reliable quarterback play and less target competition. I know that it's maybe not a take that a lot of people would agree with, and I 100% Could see Jefferson being the right wide receiver to take. But for me, I think Lamb could reasonably have 200 targets this year. But of course, if y'all wanted to hop in a draft with us, we're doing these every single night. They're best ball drafts on Underdog, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. Your starting lineups automatically submitted for you at the end of every single week. There's no waiver wires. You're going to go super, super deep with these drafts, of course. If you are new to Underdog, I highly recommend getting in the $3 tournament, which is the one that we're in right now. And I would do the 30-second timer rather than the 20-second timer. But anyway, if you want to hop in any of these drafts, you can find that link in the description in the comment section. If you use promo code FLOCK, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, you'll get our 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide cheat sheet. And Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. Just had to reapply for that New York license, so we'll get you an updated state list soon. But this outside of that should be updated. Okay. Now, let's move. Big Q says, why is Bijan still hyped? All the Falcons are buns this year. Let me look. What's the win total for the Falcons? Let me see. Falcons win total. Actually, why am I looking at that? Let me just look up NFL win total lines. Okay. Let's see, what are the expectations with the Falcons? Falcons currently sitting at 7.5. Same as the Seahawks, Jags, Cowboys, Colts. We'll revisit this to look at what projects to be the worst teams in the NFL. We are on the clock. We went Lamb in the first round. I don't know where we're going to go here. I think we're going to take Tyreek and then reach on Chase Brown. Maybe have a little bit of a unique start at this point. If you look at the way that the ADPs line up. Again, I think if you're trying to look for upside, in my mind, there's an argument to be made to have the only running backs ranked ahead of Chase Brown as Barkley, Bijan, Gibbs, Genty, CMC, Achane. I think you can make an argument to have Chase Brown at RB7. But also, in the big landscape of these tournaments, a start of Lamb, Tyreek, Chase Brown, because typically Tyreek's going here at the beginning of the third. Chase Brown's a mid-third round pick. I think will be very unique, and you won't see too many other teams in the tournament with that start. But looking at the win totals, again, these aren't the expectations for the worst offenses in the NFL. I hope that we get that information soon. But the worst teams in the NFL this next year, according to sportsbooks, which I'll reiterate, I always do, they know more than you do. They know more than I do. They know more than we all do. You have the Browns projected out to be the worst team. Then tied for the second worst, the Giants, Titans, Jets. Then tied for the third worst, the Saints, Panthers, Raiders. Then you have a group of teams with the Colts, Cowboys, Jags, Seahawks, Falcons, Patriots. Then a group of teams of the Dolphins, Bears, Cardinals, Steelers, Vikings. Then a group of teams of the Broncos, Bucks, Texans, Chargers, Packers, Commanders, Rams, Bengals. Then the Niners and Lions. And then the top teams are the Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens, Bills. But we should get some better data points on that relatively soon. Billy Bobfish says, what pick should I go for if I went Puka? If you're going to be in your regular fantasy football draft and you get to pick where you're selecting from and you know that you're wanting to go for Puka Nacua, there's no way that Puka goes inside the top 6 picks in your regular fantasy football draft. Depending on where your league mates take the running backs like Genty, McCaffrey, Henry, Achane, you could see Puka go as low as like 10, but you could also see him go as high as 7. So if you wanted to guarantee yourself Puka Nacua, I think you would need pick 7. But he definitely could fall further than that. Travis Hunter goes. Let's move this over. So we have Chase Brown, running back, wide receiver, Lamb, Tyreek. We're going to take Zay Flowers because I think Flowers is the last tier wide receiver that we're going to look at, where a lot of these guys like Hampton, Hurts, Burrow, Kittle, Mixon are all about the same. And y'all know I want 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds. And I don't want to be forced to take Metcalf, Ridley, Waddle instead. So Metcalf goes 48. I'm assuming that team goes Metcalf and Ridley. So we actually do get round 5 Amari and Hampton, which Hampton prospect profile, insane. He has the size to be a 3-down workhorse. We saw him be a 3-down workhorse in college as well. Plus, he has the receiving skill set to play on 3rd down. He's the round 1 NFL draft capital. He has the exact athletic profile that you're looking for. So he has the size, the athleticism, the collegiate production profile, the NFL draft capital, and the 3rd down ability. And he finds himself with a good coaching staff, a good offensive line, and a good quarterback. Like, Hampton is set up to absolutely crush. Now, don't get me wrong. I haven't taken Hampton very often because a lot of drafts that we've been in, he's going back-to-back with Breece Hall, and I prefer Breece Hall. But I don't know. No. Instinct says, how is Hopkins affecting Zay Flowers? Let's pull this up real quick. Full transparency. This could be something that I'm wrong on. But I am not thinking about DeAndre Hopkins whatsoever when it comes to 2025 fantasy football leagues. DeAndre Hopkins had Mahomes last year. Let me go ahead and pull up the game log. Y'all want to take a guess on how many receiving yards DeAndre Hopkins had in the NFL playoffs last year? The Chiefs played the Texans, the Bills, the Eagles. And in that 3-game sample, how many receiving yards did DeAndre Hopkins have in those 3 games? The Rice Rocket guesses 90. See if we got any more guesses in here. Less than 50, 80, 40, 70. Let me make my pick and see if anybody else comes close. We will take Jacoby Myers and just get some guaranteed wide receiver points. Hopefully Myers a little bit better with an upgrade at quarterback. B. Timmy said 110. Jake says 62. Mike says 72. Brendan says 39. Joshua says 66. ACR says 69. The dude had 29 receiving yards in those 3 weeks. DeAndre Hopkins in 3 games in the NFL playoffs last year, 29 receiving yards. Total, not average. He had 3 receptions. So maybe I am wrong about it. Maybe I do need to think a little bit more about DeAndre Hopkins in Baltimore, but how I've operated up until this point is DeAndre Hopkins is nothing. DeAndre Hopkins is going to turn 33 next month. So it'd be different if it was like, oh, okay, well, like I view DeAndre Hopkins the same as I view Deontay Johnson at this point. But now looking at our team, we have Lamb, Tyreek, Flowers, Myers at receiver. Running back, we have Chase Brown, Hampton, and David Montgomery. So really boring start of the draft. I do think it's maybe a little bit unique given our first 3-round start with Tyreek typically going in the early third and Chase Brown typically going the middle of the third. I don't know how many Lamb, Tyreek, Chase Brown combos there'll be. So let's move this. KU says, is Rice going to get any punishment for the crash last season? Big question that I don't have a right answer for. I'll say that if Rashee Rice is not going to get suspended and if Rashee Rice is healthy to start the year, Rashee Rice will be the best value in drafts with how things sit right now. But those are two big what ifs that we just simply don't know the answer to. All right, here's what we're going to do. Y'all know. Okay, can I flex on y'all my run that we just had? Let me show this off. I know y'all aren't going to care about this, but I got to be able to show this to somebody other than the girlfriend. The girlfriend has no reference of what any of this is. If y'all can see that, take a little peek. Take a little gander. 4,500 feet of elevation gain. Obviously, very slow pace, but if anybody knows what 4,500 feet of elevation gain looks like, kind of explains why. That's just up and down mountains, baby. KU says, do you ever use Strava? I have not. I know that we probably should start using Strava. But Jeremy asking what Ironman we did. We did Ironman Nice, France last year, and we are doing Lake Placid this year. Let's move this down. So we need some help at quarterback, right? We don't have a quarterback. We don't have a tight end. I will say maybe I'm an idiot, but I'm never taking Jonnu Smith. Actually, I guess if you have Tyreek, you can take Jonnu and set up a double stack with Tua. Igbuka goes 84. Let's make this our first Luther Burden team. Our first Luther Burden draft is today. Jeremy says, I was just at the San Diego Half Ironman. Would be funny if you were there too. Are you talking about the Oceanside one? I wanted to do the Oceanside, but I have the 100-mile ultra June 6th, and then I also did the LA Marathon. So if I did Oceanside, it would have been very difficult just having to do the 3 races that close together. I know I just said I'm never taking Jonnu here, but you can find me taking Jonnu here now that we've yet to take a quarterback or tight end through the first 8 rounds. And we guess we take Jonnu for the first time this year and stack with Tua later. But yeah, the 3 races in that short of a time period would have been very difficult just with like tapering and recovering. Because it was hard. It was hard to recover from the LA Marathon just because like typically if I run, I'm going like, since like I'll go like today, I ran 4.5 hours. I'm going very slow so I can do that close to every day, you know. And for the LA Marathon, I ran it in 2 hours and 55 minutes. Which like that pace is like a 6:30 something. I don't know. I don't remember what the exact pace is. I have no idea. But it was significantly faster than I've ever ran in my entire life. Like I never ran a stretch of 2 miles that fast. And I did it for 26. So let me pull this up real quick. It was in February, right? Or was it in March? It was in March. Yeah, it was like a 6:40 pace. And I'd never ran that fast for like 3 miles before, and I did it for 26. So that absolutely wrecked me. So I was planning on doing the Oceanside race, especially because like all the Ironman pros were going to be there. So it'd have been cool to like actually get to see them in person, you know? But I got wrecked and needed to recover. Beats Timmy says, why is Kelsey so low? Kelsey was pretty bad last year. Kelsey's declined for 3 straight seasons now. From pretty much every measure that you can possibly look at. Guess the only thing that he hasn't declined with is his target share. But Kelsey, 2.4 down yards per route run, down to 2, down to 1.66. From tight end 1 to tight end 3, down to tight end 5. And again, similar to DeAndre Hopkins, it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. Kelsey, I believe we looked it up last live stream, turns 36 next month. Or not next month, during the football season. So it's not like it's a decline out of the blue that nobody can explain why. It's like, no, this is a declining player that's very, very old at the end of his career. So John says if you had 2 bye weeks, that would change fantasy a bit. What do y'all think about them expanding the NFL season and then giving 2 bye weeks? I'm interested to hear this. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zach Charbonnet 119. LC says got sniped on Loveland for the Chicago Omega stack. We'll look at that after. I'm not wanting Bateman. This is our first Javonte team. Not taking Kyle Williams here. We have no May stack. I guess we could reach on David Njoku, but let's take Javonte. I mean, Javonte has a receiving skill set and no real competition in Dallas. And they'll be our 5th and final running back. But LC says got sniped on Loveland for the Chicago Omega stack. Let's see what's going on here. So, what is the Omega stack you're talking about? Where do you have Caleb? Caleb goes 89. So this team has DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, Caleb. Thank God you didn't get Loveland. If you got Loveland and you had 5 of your first 10 picks being Chicago Bears, how do you, in week 17, have the upside to really smash? Taking 5 players from any offense inside the first 10 rounds is too much stacking, and it will lower your upside when it comes to week 17. So in my opinion, I think it's a good thing that you did not get Loveland, to be honest. Be hard to judge. We need more bench spots. That's cooked. If we had, oh my gosh. If we had a couple extra weeks in the NFL season and then an extra bye for each team, I would say like it would probably be good for my business realistically. But I don't know if it would be good for my mental health. I don't know if I could survive it. Like, if I could tough it out, and if I could get through it, would be great. But when I get to week like 16, when I get to week 17, and I've live streamed for 200 plus days in a row and made videos because during the season, like right now, life is perfect. Like, to be completely honest with y'all, And crap. Now, life's not perfect because we need wide receivers, and there's no wide receivers available. We're done taking running backs. We are just quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. But like my workflow right now, life is freaking perfect. I meet with the developers for flockfantasy.com in the morning, handle some miscellaneous tasks throughout the day, respond to customer support stuff, record a video, and hang out in the live stream and get to talk about whatever and draft fantasy football teams for a couple hours every night. Literally perfect. It's the absolute dream. We're going to go Dak Prescott here relatively easily. We took CeeDee Lamb. We don't need a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback, so we need one. And Dak falls 10 picks past ADP. Super easy pick. Cam Ward goes 144. We don't have Penix options. We don't have McCarthy. Do we reach on Tua? We'll reach on Tua. F it. It's like there's anybody else that's super exciting here. We'll go Tua to pair him up with Tyreek and Jonnu. But anyway, when we get to the NFL season and I am having to make videos, having to make 2 videos a day and live stream early in the year, like a total of 6-7 hours a day, it gets difficult. Like, it turns out to be like me working for 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's tough to keep up with. This, like right now, is perfect. Especially because these live streams, like, getting to just draft underdog teams, hang out, talk about whatever I want with y'all is amazing. During the year, it's a lot tougher to just answer fantasy football questions because it's a lot less stimulating and it's a lot more just the same thing over and over again. And don't get me wrong, I'd rather do that than almost anything else. But it's a lot tougher than doing these streams specifically. These streams are a lot easier. Okay. Rob says he submitted something on the site. Let me pull this up, my friend. Did you say you submitted a super chat on the site? I got Bobby Baloney. Oh, I see you on the site. Yeah, Underdog just had to reapply for their New York license. I don't know exactly when Underdog's going to be back in New York. Obviously, I'm hoping sooner rather than later. But, yeah, they're not in New York right now, which sucks because, again, I'm going to be at Lake Placid, and I was planning on streaming during that trip, these Underdog drafts. And then I realized when I was talking about this to the girlfriend, like very recently, I was like, oh, crap, actually, Underdog's not in New York. So I can't. I'm trying to figure out right now what to get for dinner. What did I order the other day? Have I told y'all my Uber Eats setup? Predict says if you're in New York, just cross the river to New Jersey. It's what I do. But I'll be in Lake Placid. So I won't be in the city when I'm there to stream. I'll be like far away. Is Lake Placid close to a border of a different state? A New York person, please help me out with that. Okay, so we're not taking any running backs again. We are just quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends with the preference for receivers. Again, we only have 5 wide receivers at the moment. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Romeo Doubs. At 167. I don't think the team after us can take another tight end. So if we want Britton Strange, we can just get him back here at 170, which we will do. Very weird team. I mean, structurally, I think it's okay. It's just like a bunch of players that I typically don't draft. Like, We are sitting with Lamb, Tyreek, Flowers, Myers, Luther Burden, Romeo Dobbs at receiver. Going over and looking at a running back, we have Chase Brown, Hampton, Montgomery, Charbonnet, Javante. Tight end, Jonnu and Strange. I think these are my first draft taking these two tight ends. And then running back, Chase Brown, Hampton, Montgomery, Charbonnet, Javante. Quarterback, Dak and Tua. So very weird. Mike asking how we manage the training during the season. I just don't train during the season. At least not. So when it gets to November and when it gets to December, I can really cool down, especially like in your regular redraft league. Once you get to December and your trade deadline's already passed, most bye weeks are passed, you kind of know who to start. Like there's not much to discuss. At the beginning of the fantasy football season, so much is up in the air and so much is changing. And obviously people are making trades. There's just a lot going on. So, and more people are interested. People, like, I get burnt out as the season goes on. Like, where week 17 comes here, I've live streamed every day for like 200 days straight. I've made hundreds and hundreds of videos. I'm burnt out. A lot of people have watched those live streams and watched those videos, so they're burnt out, right? So, like, things slow down once it gets to November, December, specifically like after Thanksgiving. After Thanksgiving is when things like really start to slow down. But before then, like September and October, I really don't do much, like workout wise, just because I can't. I have a bike at the house that I'll hop on the bike, and like if I'm watching a game, I can hop on a bike and watch the game at the same time. Because like during the game, there's not much for me to do. But outside of that, it's not much. Yoshivash goes 190. We don't have an AR stack. We don't have a Darnold stack. We are just quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends. F it. Let's take Richardson. Let's go. What if he actually does start and he gives us some random spike weeks when it comes to his rushing upside? But when we take Richardson, that means we are done drafting quarterbacks and tight ends. And we're hoping that Jonnu repeats what he did in the second half of the season, especially since we have Tua here. And that means we're going to take Adonai Mitchell at 194. Let's move this over. Okay. Somebody remind me, it's probably too late in this live stream, but somebody remind me tomorrow to tell y'all about my Uber Eats setup that I have. Because I'm telling y'all, I got to put you on. I got an Uber Eats setup that is insane. I never actually get it delivered. I always just order it and go pick it up myself. But if you know how to get deals, I got the method, and I'll put y'all on. We don't have the time for me to walk y'all through this tutorial right now, but we will at one point. So long story short, it's the deals for pickup is what you do because you don't pay fees. And also Costco, you can buy Uber Eats gift cards, and Uber gift cards is the same thing. You can buy $100 worth of gift cards for $75. So you go to Costco, you immediately get 25% off everything. And then you do pickup, so you don't pay any fees. And then you only do like the buy one, get one free deals. So it's like you buy one, get one free, and you get 25% off on top of it. So pretty good setup. Gino says, hey, Mason, I won the sprint last season. Now Underdog's no longer... You won the sprint last year, my guy? And I'm just now hearing about it? That is incredible. Congrats. Sorry that you're not able to just easily get an underdog drafts this year like you were last year. That is insane. I advanced 41 teams in the sprint, and I thought I was hot stuff for it, but none of them came anywhere close to doing anything. Okay. Gino says, yes, Gino is my username, LOL. Well, congrats, my guy. That's awesome. Okay, wide receiver, we will go ahead and we'll take Whittington, hook 'em horns. I think Whittington may be a better pick this year than he was last year. But I think that's it. Again, thank you. And next draft's gonna be on Gino. Gino, what was the sprint first place prize? It was like you won $250K or something last year. Freaking insane. But next draft's on Gino. Drafts all around on him. And of course, if you want Gino to pay for your next draft, hop on Underdog Fantasy. It's where we draft every single night. We have for years. We'll continue to do it for years. And I'm sorry, Gino only won 100,000, so maybe Gino's not able to pay for your draft. But yeah, if you want to get in our next draft, I'll leave the link in the description. I'll leave it in the comment section, or you can just go draft with other people in the lobby, whoever you want. On Underdog, just make sure you use code FLOCK so you get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Plus, on top of that, you get our free 2025 Fantasy Football Draft Guide and cheat sheet. And this is how you know Underdog's available in your state. You can look at this map here. Again, I need to update the map. They just had to reapply for their New York license, so keep that in mind. But everything else here should be accurate. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to try to find a new little restaurant to pick up food from on Uber Eats right now. And hopefully I can stay away from the pizza, but it's calling my name.